What if you are able to play both sides of the coin in the stock market? What if you were a market maker and you were able to put out whatever information you want to encourage a stock go the direction you want it to? Well, this is what retailers have been saying for a long time now. And with the recent expansion of the retail movement and some of the activity that we've seen this year, I believe that we may finally be getting a breakthrough or at least an investigation into what's going on. This is an ongoing investigation, so I can't speak with certainty, but I'm going to read a piece from this column here written by Bloomberg, and then I'm also going to give you some examples of how I believe that can absolutely happen, and this has been happening for quite some time. I just believe the anomaly as far as for the retail expansion is kind of exposing this and forcing the hand of like the SEC and Department of Justice to kind of take action. So the piece that I want to read right here is by Bloomberg. It is the U.S. Justice Department has launched an expansive criminal investigation into short selling by hedge funds and research firms, scrutinizing their symbiotic relationships and hunting for signs that they improperly coordinated trades or broke other laws to profit, according to people familiar with the matter. Now, I've been saying this all year, and primarily when you're trading a stock or shorting a stock, whatever the case may be, information is going to be the most valuable asset that you can have. And when you have access to that information, you can ultimately determine what kind of profits you see on the back end. As we've seen with a number of plays this year, it can be problematic when a hedge fund owns a research article or news article pertaining to stocks, or they own a piece of the clearinghouse, or they're simply the wholesalers in the market altogether. What does all that mean? Okay, I'm going to give you a few examples. So if the hedge fund is the market maker or they're the wholesaler, it's pretty much what the stock market has done to get the cost of per trade down. If you watch some of the old articles by Warren Buffett, he was saying that he doesn't believe that the stock market is rigged, but just because the price per trade and the speed at which it's executed is much better now, it gives an advantage to the trader. Now, that may be true in certain instances, but when you have the hedge funds or the market makers pretty much being the wholesalers in the market, that means that when you make a purchase to a stock, it may not necessarily be going directly to the NASDAQ at that particular time. You may be buying directly from a wholesaler who already has purchased this stock and is simply selling it to you for speed execution. Of course, they have a markup there, and it's not getting reported to a later time to the actual lit market. You may be saying, so what? Well, the difference is if it's not being reported to the lit market at that time, then it's not necessarily counting as a sell or a buy toward the actual price that's being shown on the NASDAQ. So if there, let's say a bunch of these orders came in and it showed it, like let's say a large number of these orders came in to buy Apple stock, for example. This gives the ability to the market maker to see those orders come in and put their order in first. This is more widely known as front running because you can technically get in before the rush, the momentum, because technically you're controlling you are fulfilling the orders and you're also responsible for reporting them. So you can get in first, essentially creating a bottom below the price entry of all the people that are trying to get into this position. And of course, when the orders go through, it pushes the price up. And then, of course, you can simply sell from underneath them because your entry point is a lot lower than theirs altogether. I believe that it should be illegal, and it's certainly unethical for a hedge fund, any hedge fund, to have access to be a wholesaler and participate in the market. I believe that those should be separate entities, and it shouldn't be allowed because it leaves the door open to too much manipulation, and it gives too much power to people that essentially you are playing against. Because in another example, let's say if it were a short position and you were trying to buy that position up, that gives them inside information to pretty much say, okay, well, they're going to attempt to squeeze us. So we see the buy orders coming in. Here's what we need to do. It pretty much gives them that information I was speaking about earlier to make counter moves. We'll just call that unfair advantage number one. Unfair advantage number two is you guys may, if those of you that are familiar with my channel, you'll know that I say that the media controls the stock price in the short term. All the fundamentals and the assets and liabilities, balance sheets, all that kind of good stuff. Yes, that determines value in the long term. But in the short term, panic, fear, the media, they have complete control over that. Like a scandal or some bad press can make a good company bad, and a BS article can make a bad company good, and it can happen like that. Now, unfair advantage number two is, what if a hedge fund could also own a piece of media or a research paper and promote a certain stock that they wanted to push, or put out something bad and say that the company was a fraud or a scam, and pretty much push that out there because they own this this respected article. It is taken very seriously. It's backed by a hedge fund, or even if you don't know it's backed by a hedge fund, it's been so boosted by the industry that it becomes a accepted and reliable piece of information, that people take this seriously and they act on the information that is put into this article. But what if there was a hedge fund on the other side of that who anticipated you guys acting on this and took a position beforehand? And that's pretty much the sitting at the forefront of this investigation by the Department of Justice. When you have these types of businesses, and again, this aligns with what I said earlier, I don't believe this should be legal as well. If you're a hedge fund, you should not be publishing research papers or publishing these articles. Like if you want to go on like the trust system, you can say, okay, well, we're getting this information from these experts, industry experts. But what is the benefit of them giving you free information when they charge their clients? There's very little benefit to them in that regard. There's very little benefits for them in that regard. So if you're saying, if ABC company has been pretty stable and it's been sitting at $20, and hedge fund A says, you know what, let's take a short on this position here, but we need the help of the retailers to kind of get it down because they've been pretty reliable and we want to make some quick money here. So they take their short position first, then they start their press run saying, "Oh my God, this company is a fraud. This company is a scam. They're going broke. Whatever the case may be." They kind of get the stories out there. They push that article out. The subscribers, they read that article and say, "Oh my God, I got to get out of here. This is like breaking news." And the stock price isn't affected. If I can be the first one out, I can kind of sell at the peak here. So they sell, it goes down. The media then sees that, oh my God, the stock price has dropped by 30%. So they report on it, creating even more fear and panic. The price goes down. Then of course, retailers and they start panic selling, and then they get that downward movement. And meanwhile, this is exactly what that hedge fund wanted, because they had shorted initially before they even published the article, and they kind of used the article to influence public perception in order to get the stock to go in the direction that they wanted. That is manipulation and what I would call unfair advantage number two. Now we can look at some specific stocks and some specific plays and come up to the conclusion that this is pretty much almost certainly been going on for quite some time. But the question is, what is the conclusion that the Department of Justice is going to come to? And also, what are we going to do moving forward? Because I believe in order for this to be eradicated, I don't think that it's necessarily finger pointing at any one hedge fund or any one entity, even the ones named in this article. I believe that certain aspects should be made illegal in order to completely eradicate this. There's far too much money and far too much influence in the market when you establish yourself as a market maker for you to be interacting with the public perception. I believe both of those are a conflict of interest, because regardless, the hedge fund is not going to publish anything that in any of the articles or media outlets that it owns that is going to directly conflict or give you an upper hand against the hedge fund. So when you say that, it's kind of like, okay, whose interest are you writing this article from? There's always an angle when someone writes something or someone publishes something. Like, what is the angle that you're pushing here? What angle are they narrating this article to? Because if it's not going to put themselves at a disadvantage, then it certainly can't be to completely empower you. So what are the moves that they're giving to you or suggesting to you? And how does it affect you versus the positions that they've taken? If I can see your order before it comes in and then have the ability to put my own order in first, and I have the ability to pump information out to the masses because I'm a reliable source of information, or I have partnerships with the people who publish these research articles, then I have the advantage of seeing the orders come in, and also the influence of media and perception. Like these are psychological advantages to kind of get you to. It's pretty much like manipulation at its finest, and it's on several different ends of the stock market. Now, again, all of this is allegedly. We'll see what the conclusion of this investigation is. But these are some of the things that I've been seeing for the past few months now. And I will be tracking this very closely because I need to see the information that's going to come out of this and the conclusion of this as well. Again, I'm not finger pointing. I'm just reporting on the article here and giving you my 2 cents. So we'll see what this is an ongoing investigation. So we'll see where this is headed. Let me know in the comments if you think the stock market is rigged. If you found value in this video, please give it a like. It helps YouTube share it with others so that we can not only grow in numbers, but grow in knowledge as well. And if you haven't yet, please consider subscribing. You can always change your mind later. Don't forget to check out BlockFi in the description section where you can get up to $250 and some infamous coins like Bitcoin and Ethereum just for opening an account. I appreciate all of you. Thank you. And until next time.